Time to break down Rhett Lashlee, one of the most important coaches across college football for anybody looking for a coach, including the Florida State Seminoles.
You are Locked On Seminoles, your daily podcast on the Florida State Seminoles. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back into Locked On Seminoles. I am your host, Brian Smith, longtime college football recruiting analyst. Thank you for making Locked On Seminoles a part of your day each and every day right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. I am going to be discussing Rhett Lashlee today. He's a very important part of really college football because he's an upstart quarterback mind. He's been in the SEC. He's been all over the place. He's coached at Samford and UConn and Arkansas State. And he's also been at Auburn and Miami and now the head coach at SMU. A little bit of everything. I want to use him as a barometer for what it's like to go through a coaching search and, quite frankly, how he would fit in if Florida State got involved with him. Knows the ACC, all kinds of different things. And then we're also going to talk about the Florida State roster in conjunction with Mr. Lashlee because, to be honest, I think that it would be a really good fit there as well. Today's show is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Just download the Game Time app today. First off, with Lashlee, forget the stats, and I've got all kinds of stats on him here. I'll get to it in a second. The most important thing to know is this is a quarterback coach. He is one with pocket guys. He is one with run-throw guys. De'Aaron King, 2020 at Miami, he was the quarterback coach for the Hurricanes. But the next year, Tyler Van Dyke was the quarterback as a redshirt freshman at Miami. He won with him. Totally different. Not many coaches can do both. And that's why, in particular, as I mentioned a moment ago in the preview of this show, Lashlee is a great fit for Florida State. They have a variety of different kinds of quarterbacks that they sign and guys that could probably do both. Like Jaden O'Neal, if Lashlee comes to Florida State, that would be a home run for him. Perfect fit. He could run, but he's a pocket quarterback with an arm. Lashlee's a guy that can work with that. He would be a little more similar to Van Dyke, but a better runner for certain because he's got a big frame and everything. But at the same time, a guy like Tommy, I don't know if he'll have another year of eligibility, etc. But if he came back, especially if Gus was still on the staff, by the way, Gus was at Auburn when Rhett was the OC at Auburn from 2013 through 2016. Ironic. They would know one another. Maybe there's something there. Maybe there's not. I don't know. But the bottom line is he would have a quarterback that's worked in that system. They know each other. Their systems are similar. So even if they're not on the greatest of terms, and I'm guessing probably not because Lashlee went to UConn the year after he left Auburn in 2016, but probably a scenario where it wouldn't be a major transition for current players. That is important because, as I'm going to get into later in the show, next year's Florida State roster is pretty good. If the Florida State administration and the boosters spend some money, especially to help out none other than the offensive line, get one or two studs there and just kind of plug some holes around the roster, maybe 15 guys, they could be an 8-4 or better team in year one of the right head coach's tenure. Now, if that's Norvell, I have no faith in it whatsoever. I am done with him, just to be clear. Until we get to the end of the season where they have this all-encompassing review that the Florida State administration is trying to say they're going to do at the end of the season, a.k.a. they better fire Mike, I'm just going to be doing previews for the most part. I'll talk a little Wake Forest maybe today just for fun on this live show. I watched some film today. They're a little better than I thought. They got a receiver that's good. They got a running back that's going to be an NFL player. And they got a young quarterback that's trying to learn his way. That'll be an interesting game. But at the same time, let's get back to Lashlee. Pass first offense is okay. Run first offense is okay. Mobile quarterback, more of a pocket quarterback. He adjusts his system. So without that point being out there, just to give you an idea, here's his tenure. He was at Springdale, Arkansas High School. That's a really good program in Arkansas. Then he was a GA at Arkansas where he went to school in 2006, 2009, and 2010. He was at Auburn as a graduate assistant. Then he went to Samford for a year, which is in the state of Alabama. He was the OC quarterback coach there. in 2011. 2012, he was the OC quarterback coach at Arkansas State. And 13 through 16, he was at Auburn. Now, I'm pretty sure at Arkansas State, that's when Gus was there. So that means he was with Gus like 5 years in a row. Then in 2017, he went to UConn. He was the OC and quarterback coach. And then in 18 and 19, he was SMU's OC and quarterback coach. And then in 20 and 21, he was Miami's OC and quarterback coach. And from 2022 till modern day, Rhett Lashlee has been the head coach of the SMU Mustangs. Now the question becomes, would he leave? And the answer is, I have no idea. SMU does have a lot of money, a lot of oil money. It's a Dallas school. They're not going to be just outbid that easily. I could see a lot of different things happening, but anything's possible. And by the way, he's already got a big-time 2027 quarterback committed, Ziegler, a kid that is out of the state of Louisiana who's really good. I'm very, very high on him. So who knows, maybe if he came to Florida State, maybe Ziegler would come too. But bottom line, it's still the same deal here. You're getting somebody, whoever ends up with Lashlee, whether he stays at SMU or whether he goes to Florida State or somewhere else. This is a guy that's on the rise. To me, I'm surprised he doesn't get more attention. And it's kind of goofy, but it is what it is. As for what's going on regarding the stats and all the different things that he's accomplished, let me read off a few things for you regarding Lashlee. In 2018, SMU averaged 30.4 points per game. Pretty good situation, but they went up just slightly the year after that. And this is where it gets really fun. In 2019, they averaged 41.8. They had a system quarterback that had been in the program that was his fourth year, Shane Buechele. I think I'm pronouncing that right. 3,929 yards, 8 yards per attempt, 34 touchdowns, 10 picks. But the development part is still important for the next point too. James, I think it's Prochet, 111 catches, 1,225 yards, 11 yards per reception, 15 TDs. Another guy that was a system player. He really exploded the second year that Lashlee was there. Then at Miami, De'Aaron King was 2020. Then the next year again, that's Van Dyke. King threw for 26-86, 23 touchdowns, 5 picks. The next year, Van Dyke, 29-31, 25 touchdowns and 6 picks. Both are really good players in their years that they started, but they're totally different. And on top of that, when you look at let's look at Miami's wide receivers. In 2020, Charleston Rambo was 6'1", 185 pounds. So he's similar to like a Wayne McCoy. 79 catches, 1,172 yards, 14.87 scores. Mike Harley, another guy that could really run. He's a Fort Lauderdale kid. 5'11", 182 pounds. 2020, 57 catches, 799 yards, 14 yards a catch, 7 TDs. Imagine what Rhett Lashlee would do with Mekhi Dancy, with Jalen Lucas, with Wayne McCoy, Jamin Boggs, Elijah Moore, Camden Fryer, all the receivers they have. It would be pretty gross. So to me, I don't know who the number one guy would be, and I'm sure they're doing all kinds of research. By all means, do not forget about somebody that's actually in the same conference that you're in. Rhett Lashlee is deserving of that. And he's also somebody that probably would at least listen. Maybe they've already contacted his agent and talked about it. I have no idea. But any school, Florida State, Penn State, you name it, that doesn't consider Lashlee, why? Why would you not? Really good quarterback coach, wins with different systems. And like the guy that he's got right now, Kevin Jennings' kid, he was an under-the-radar recruit. He didn't hardly have any offers. Another kid that he's developed and is getting better and better as this season goes on, helped him get to the playoff last year. That's a really good football coach. That's a really good football coach. Florida State would do well to at least, at minimum, investigate that scenario. When we come back, we're going to talk a little more Lashlee, but we're going to get into Florida State's roster. And regardless of the next head coach for the Florida State Seminoles, let's talk about what they're going to be walking into. It's pretty good. That is next on Locked On Seminoles. Today's show is brought to you by our friends at Monarch Money. Let's be honest, most of us can't even name all our financial accounts, let alone what they're worth. Between 401ks, savings, investments, it's easy to lose track, and that can mean leaving money on the table. That's why you need to start using Monarch. It's the all-in-one personal financial tool that helps you get through your entire financial life in one clean, easy-to-use interface. You can use it on your phone, your tablet, or your computer. Doesn't matter. It can be done easily. Also, with Monarch, you get everything in one spot, man. Concise. You're not going to be missing anything. You're not going to forget something that you need to track. And if you need to move something around, it's very convenient. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarch.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarch.com, code LOCKEDONCollege for half off of your first year. We are also brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. The NFL season is rocking and rolling, and FanDuel has an offer for you. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's right. Put down a bet, $5, and if it hits, you can unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the FanDuel app. Also, with FanDuel, it's pretty much anything you can imagine. Player props, parlays, halftime scores. If you wanted to bet on league MVP or anything else, it's pretty simple with FanDuel. What are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com and download it today. Thank you very much for making Locked On Seminoles a part of your day each and every day right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Truly appreciate you stopping in. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. If you're on Apple, get that automatic download. We're going to have a lot of coaching news and probably a lot of transfer portal stuff coming up. Hint, it's coming. Not the best of news is coming, but it's coming, and I'm going to talk about it right here on Locked On Seminoles. But right now, not worried about the transfer portal. I'm talking about key players. And while I'm doing that, I might as well got a few comments in the chat here. Might as well have some fun with that too. And key players for Florida State, whoever gets the job, this roster is a little better than you might think, especially when it comes to skill talent and some big guys up front. I talked a little bit yesterday when I was recording for this morning show, talking about all the different talent at Florida State at different spots. Florida State's D-line's got some size, and if Mari Williams is the edge guy, they're a pretty good spot there. Let's see. Eric Morris, Lashlee's not leaving. We want Jimbo or Dion. That's what you want. I don't. Dion's not going anywhere, and nobody's going to give him an opportunity because he's got health problems again. That's not happening. You can like that. You're not getting Dion, brother. Not going to happen. Braylon Wilkerson. Why would he leave SMU? Less expectations with more financial resources. I'd be on board with it, though, depending on who his DC would be. That's a good point about the defensive coordinator, but that's the case with any coach. If you're a defensive-minded guy, who's your OC, and vice versa. I don't think it's going to be that hard for Lashlee to get a really good DC at Florida State. Just my opinion. Take it for what it's worth. Maybe you make Surtain the co-DC with somebody. I don't know. As for taking the challenge of Florida State, it's because you can recruit a hell of a lot better. No offense to SMU. Even with them making the playoff last year, they haven't made a big splash. Even with them being in a school in Dallas, good school, with a lot of NIL, still not a big splash. Good, not great. It's not a tradition-rich program. It is hard to overcome that. Florida State, it's not as hard. And location is still really good. You're close to Jacksonville, Orlando, Atlanta, all the Georgia and Alabama public schools in the southern parts of those states, Mobile, Pensacola, Tampa. It's not hard. And then, oh, by the way, you're still going to get a couple kids a year out of the greater Miami, Fort Lauderdale area. Florida State's the better job. It's really not that close. Gemini, do you think whoever is hired next will be able to keep any, if all, of our 26 class intact? Absolutely. There are some kids that just want to go to Florida State. Some kids want to stay closer, and it would depend on how that worked. But let me be clear on this once again. I'm going to say this every day, and I'm glad you asked. I should have led with this. There will not be a coaching search this year, Florida State or otherwise, where it goes well for recruiting. Zero. And this is the case for every single class for the rest of history. Recruits, parents, and everybody around them, their high school coaches, their 7-on coaches, their trainers, they want all of the following. They want to know who the coaches are. They want to know them for a long time, and they want to know them at that school for a long time, which automatically disqualifies you. How do you act in that environment? And on top of it, he probably wouldn't be named until after the season, maybe even the week of signing day. At best, signing day is the first Wednesday in December, right after they play the Gators. You have no chance. Whoever the interim is, Odell Higgins, whatever, they'll do a good job. But these people, they want to know this stuff from a long-standing point, especially like if you're handing your child over to somebody, I don't know you. Like Lashlee is recruiting primarily Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana right now because he's in Dallas. It is what it is. How many would stay and which ones? I really couldn't tell you. He might be able to bring some kids over from SMU to FSU too. It's going to be a mass transfer situation in and out would be my guess that I'm more concerned about. Which guys would you lose? But to that end, this is where I think it's interesting. Not that Gus hasn't done a good job with Mekhi Danzig. And again, saying tree. Could you imagine what Lashlee would do with somebody like Mekhi Danzig? And that's something he's going to sell. Kevin Jennings is a pretty good quarterback at SMU. But what would he do at Florida State with Mekhi Danzig, Jalen Lucas, Usman Chroma, Landon Thompson? Like, it's just Elijah Moore, Jaden Boggs, Cam Davis. Like, the skill talent at Florida State is a candy shop for the next head coach. I mean, Gus has done a pretty good job with it this year, but it's only going to get better because a lot of these guys are young. Boggs is a freshman. Mekhi's in his second year. Like, there's nothing about this roster from an offensive standpoint that you would go, man, if you're Rhett Lashlee or anybody else, it doesn't even matter what offense you run. They've got running backs, they've got tight ends, they've got receivers. Eye candy for anything. Florida State's coaching staff, whoever it is in the future, is going to have plenty to work with. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think it's going to be very, very fun. Is Fisher truly an option? This is from Michael. I would be shocked. I don't think they want to go down that tree again. I think they've went up it and down it once. They're done. They need somebody that's younger, that's probably going to adapt better to players today, and most importantly, adapt his system. There's one thing about Jimbo. He understands football, but he does not like change, which I say it all the time. And his system is very hard to learn. It is very much a pro system, post-snap reads. It's hard to do at the college level. It's not smart. But at the same time, anything's possible. I mean, maybe he could be the interim for a year or something like that. He's got all the money in the world. Who knows? And he still likes Florida State. I guess that's a possibility. But here are a few things that I want to also mention. Again, talked about the skill talent. Let's say it's Lashlee or somebody that's offensive minded. Just for the record, somebody that's offensive minded. You got all those skill players. Which guys on the offensive line that are currently on the roster, they're kind of waiting their turn? Which ones hit? Mario Nash? Is it Jonathan Daniels? Lucas Simmons? Andre Otto? I mean, there's so many young guys that are freshmen, sophomores, or juniors. I don't know. So my biggest question, obviously somebody's going to transfer, and we have no idea which ones it's going to be. We don't. We could sit there and say we do, but we really don't. But like, if they could get 2 offensive linemen from the portal, and not either one of them doesn't even have to be guaranteed starts, just to make sure you've got plenty of depth and competition. A few more older guys maybe have started somewhere, MAC player, whatever, Barra State, whatever it is. To add in, next year could be your bridge year. And hear me out. Like Kevin Sperry, I'm super high on. And by the way, Kevin Sperry, in my opinion, would be a tremendous fit for Rhett Lashlee. He could run, but he can zing it too. Like we saw those throws against Stanford. He's got the arm. Arm strength is not a problem. And he's also an athletic kid that's got a frame. So whether it's Fisher or whether it's somebody else, and if you've got any questions, again, fire away in the chat. I'm more than happy to answer. I think that it's going to be a pretty attractive job once somebody actually digs in and they speak to their agent. They just look at the depth chart. They're like, okay, Mekhi Danzig, let's see, what's he doing? Oh, that's nice. Mekhi Danzig, 19 catches, 436 yards, 23 yards a catch, and 2 scores. Yeah, we could play with that. It's not going to be a hard sell. Florida State's a little more attractive than people think, and it's also why Mike has done such an atrocious job. His game management, his game day management is so bad. Just having a more disciplined team, that alone should make Florida State way better for the future. I mean, it shouldn't even be close. To that end, Florida State is also a team that they just need to be more consistent in the trenches. Just stating that for the record. Obviously, the D-line has underperformed at times and overperformed at other times, like the Alabama game. What'd they give up? 86, 87 yards? So they've been a little up and down, but That's 5 guys that they kind of threw together, and Herb Hand and the guys on the offensive side of the ball, they deserve credit for coaching that. That's not easy. That's not easy. I'm pretty sure that Florida State's offense next year with a Lashlee or somebody that really knows quarterbacks, just with Kevin Sperry, not even bringing back Tommy, bringing in by from the portal, a true sophomore, you could score over 30 a game pretty easy, and you'd probably also be in the top 4 of the ACC. Transition years, that's hard to do, but they're so explosive with all their skill talent. I mean, Crum is an NFL player. Landon Thomas, NFL player. I assume that all the tight ends will be back. That's a pretty good room. Lofton, just as an example, obviously Pittman. I mean, they've got some players. If you can just figure out offensive line, and again, that's a big if, but they got some young, talented guys. If they can do that, there's really no reason to believe Florida State doesn't score 34, 35 points a game next year and do it without the turnovers and do it with more balance. In other words, when you need to go 4-minute offense, you can. When you need to go super speed, you can. They're going to have the tools to do it. That's exciting to me. The only question, and this somebody else brought this up, that I have, and amen to it, who's the DC going to be? I don't know. But the roster right now is still pretty good on the defensive side. You got size on the line. You've got Amari, who seems to be focusing on playing that stand-up position another year. Then it's the spring. But going into his 3rd year, he could take a pretty big jump. And you'll get somebody in the portal that can help you be an edge rusher. Daniel Lyons will be back. You got the Desir twins, Darryl and Mandrell. They've got some size up front. KJ Sampson. There's really no reason Florida State couldn't be a top 25 run defense next year. Again, big if, they make the right decisions in the portal at linebacker. That's got to get better. That's the one spot, like across the board, they're going to have to do something. And it depends on the coordinator which way they go, but obviously they don't fit Tony White's system well enough. They're not doing very well there. They're being exposed. It is what it is. But Nicholson will be a senior. You've got a few guys that have eligibility left. And then you got Lavalley coming back. I would assume Florida State will improve marketably at linebacker, but that's a pretty low bar to jump over. So it is what it is. If anybody else has any questions, fire away. Otherwise, I'm going to wrap up here in a minute or so. But I am very excited about the idea that Florida State would go in this direction. And for the record, while I'm a big fan of his, the key note here, they need somebody that understands quarterbacks. Lashlee has coached 11 seasons as an assistant at the college level. Every year he was a QB coach, and every year he was an OC. He understands offense. Really good. So I think he's probably somebody that's better with the pass first, but he's done it with a guy that can be mobile too. It's really hard to be upset about what Lashlee has done, and it's really difficult as well to not think that this is an opportunity for Florida State, because like there are other jobs. Let's talk about that for a second. Here's something. If you don't get on this now, I don't care if Norvell's fired or not. How it goes in the back office, contacting agents and all that, that's how this works. Auburn's probably going to come open fairly soon. Lashlee's going to get a call on that one. LSU could come open, and I think it will. Hear me out. They've got A&M. They've got a game at Bama, and they've got a game at Oklahoma. I don't know which ones it'll be. They'll lose at least 2 of those. So Lashlee, like if you don't get on this now, and I know they're trying to find the money or whatever, at least that's the thought. But if you don't get on this now, you have no chance at somebody like that. Auburn's got cash. LSU's probably got more money than Florida State, although that state is pretty broke. I'm curious to see how this goes. He will have suitors, no doubt. North Carolina could come open. Virginia Tech is open. Obviously, there's the Penn State job. I don't think he would go there, but there's a lot of different jobs that are open. Wouldn't be shocked if Florida made a phone call to him at some point. They're right now, from what I've heard, Marcus Freeman and especially Lane Kiffin are their main targets. Fair enough. But if Lashlee got a phone call, would it shock me? Not really. So last thing here, just to reiterate for any of those of you that had just come in, this is not a Florida State thing. This is across the board in college football. And as long as signing day is at the date it is, the following problem is going to be there for every single team that changes coaches. you're in major danger because it's December. The first Wednesday is National Signing Day. The Saturday before is all the big games for the rivalry games, like Florida's going to host Florida State, Alabama, Auburn, across the country, all these big games. So you really don't have a chance to transition head coaches and then secure your class. You don't have the time. So kids pick coaches, not schools, as a general rule. So I'm curious to see how that goes. And I also hope that Odell Haggins, regardless of how Mike Norvell's parting of ways with Florida State goes, is a major part of it. And I anticipate he will. That'll be good for the Noles. He's a good guy. He's a legend in college football and at Florida State. So that should go pretty well for Florida State. Just don't know what else is going to happen there. But the other thing they got to do is somehow, based on, if you haven't seen it, make sure you check out the Tuesday morning edition of Locked On Seminoles. That first segment was one that I did not want to do, I can assure you. But if there are players that have tuned out Mike Norvell and the team is on the verge of like being done, this could get really ugly. The remaining schedule off this weekend. They have Wake Forest. I just started breaking down film. That's not going to go well. They've got an incredible running back. He's averaging 7.8 yards per carry. He's really good. Got a big play receiver on the outside. Young quarterback. Doesn't know what he's doing yet, but he's got an arm. That's going to be a very tough game. Then after that, you got to go to Clemson. Who knows? Then after that, you still have Virginia Tech. Is Drones any good? Is he going to play well? That's iffy. That's going to be your senior day. Then you have a road game on a Friday at NC State. And then you conclude the season in Gainesville against the Gators. Not an easy road. I don't think Florida State's going to a bowl is my concern. They could. They should. But if the players are about to quit, I'm not feeling real warm and fuzzy there. Not feeling real warm and fuzzy at all. So hopefully I am incorrect, but I really don't think I am. Any other stats here that I want to talk about? I think we pretty much hit them all. Yeah, I think that's going to wrap it up. But thank you to everybody that stopped in. I'm going to be doing more of these across the board. There's going to be all kinds of them regarding coaches. I'll probably do quite a few right around noon, live shows moving forward. And every day, 3 a.m. is the audio upload, and at 5 a.m. was YouTube. So you can check it out and have some fun each and every day here on Locked On Seminoles. Please like and subscribe as always, and I appreciate it. We will see everybody again soon.